Welcome everybody to PaperSpecs Pop-Up Magic Design That Packs a Punch webinar. I'm Sabine Lenzi, founder of PaperSpecs, and I can't wait to share insights about this magical 3D experience that is pop-up with you. Now before we get started, just some quick housekeeping. At this stage, all attendees are in listen-only mode, which is you guys. I know you all have a lot of questions, and I would encourage you to submit them utilizing the chat area on your screen. We will try to answer as many of them as possible, especially towards the end of this webinar. And as a reminder, this webinar is being recorded, and before you ask, we will send you an email with a link for the recording after the event. Now I'd like to thank Iggesund Paperboard for making this event possible. Iggesund Paperboard is part of the Swedish forest industry group Holmen, one of the world's most sustainable companies, recently listed in the United Nations Global Compact Index. Iggesund Paperboard makes two of the world's leading paperboard brands, Invercote and Incada, which are preferred by some of the most demanding brand owners on earth for their durability and design versatility. The company cares for their customers, and their respective businesses goes far beyond their product offering and includes a broad range of services, support, and advice. Iggesund Paperboard cares about the environment all the way from their forests to the consumers. Now I'd like to welcome our guest speaker. Hi, Ian.
Hi there. Hi, Sabine. How are you?
And Ian is here all the way, and you will hear that in a second by his very sophisticated accent, from England. So it's 7 o'clock in the evening his time, and we're very, very appreciative that he makes himself available so late in the day. Now, Ian is a paper engineer and a designer based in Bristol in the UK. He works as part of PaperSpecs Limited, creating pop-ups for a wide variety of publishers, companies, individuals. And what better way we figured to introduce Ian than to show his own business card.
Hi, I'm Ian Smith. I'm a paper engineer. I make pop-ups, books and brochures. Here's my business card, a little pop-up laser cut. Okay, I'll show you a few of the things I've done. This is Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. The great Roald Dahl. Here's a pop-up non-fiction book I did for Dorling Kindersley. And here is a brochure, actually more like a book, telling the story of how board is made. So these are different pop-up techniques. This is a laser cut Christmas card with a holographic foil effect. And here we have, this is a card that was done for Harrods in London, and using silver foil. This is today I'm going to show you how to make this water lily out of 8 sheets, a kit. So we'll go through the assembly instructions of that.
All right, now as you can see, Ian has worked on some amazing projects, and I want to do a little pre-show and tell, building on to what Ian has showed us already before diving deeper into the actual process. Ian has paper engineered more than 50 pop-up books, and you can see for some of the very demanding brands, working with many authors, artists, illustrators, and as well as the books he's just shown us, there's other examples such as Raymond Briggs' The Snowman. Ian, can you share a bit about the background with us on this one?
Sure, surely. This one we did for pop-up books. I cut the holes in the cover to make that window scene to represent that part in the book where the little boy looks out at the snowman. And then within the book you have the full text, the illustrations and content by Raymond Briggs, and then we follow that with this 3D scene, which has a snow globe showing the snowman and the little boy flying over the Brighton Pavilion with the snowy silver foil frame. Shall I take on?
Yeah. So another book you worked on, I know, is Angelina Ballerina, and we'll talk about this a little bit later, but maybe you can give us a quick overview.
Sure. It's always hard to describe these things in just a sentence, but briefly, we created this book from existing artwork. We crafted together a new title, with the illustrator and the author, to make a new story, and that was made to end with a pop-up theatre with the Angelina dancing within, which hopefully I'll show you later.
Great. And then you also worked on the Ian Pienkowski's, I'm probably pronouncing this horribly wrong, Nutcracker.
Yes. The great Jan Pienkowski, and it was an honour to be involved. For this one, it had a gorgeous cover, but mainly the best part really was the ending, which is it's made from a thin box with lots of intricate laser-cut layers, as you can see there, over a twinkly sky, using Jan Pienkowski's brilliant silhouette work. And then again, covered with silver foil snowflakes. It sort of makes a little picture box at the end of that one.
Now, but you've also written, illustrated, and paper engineered many of your own original pop-up books, right? Which been printed in numerous languages.
Yes.
So you're like a world-renowned author, so to speak.
Well, in fact, we've done some. We've done a few over a few years now. Yeah. This one here, this is a fairly recent one. The Wide-Mouthed Frog was published by Bloomsbury and illustrated by the brilliant and very colourful Michael Terry. As you can see, this has a die cut through the cover and all of the pages through to the back cover. It's quite simple in that. And every spread you have the frog chatting to another animal until finally he meets a crocodile. Who you know, every time the crocodile, I eat wide-mouthed frogs. And so when you turn the page to the last spread, the mechanic closes the frog's mouth so it's really small and round, and he of course says, "Oh, you don't see many of them around here, do you?" It's a joke to come to a book.
Can you speak up a little bit, Ian? I think that would be helpful.
Sure.
Now, there's another book you've done, which is Duck the Digger, and it was another pop-up book about action patrol vehicles, published by Orchard Books.
Orchard, and in the US that was Crown Publishing. This was part of a series of books about moving vehicles, which are always popular with young children. And in these books, you could animate the vehicle using pull tabs and dials. It sort of brought it to life. And then down there on the right, there's another book, Angel Fish, which is about a little fish who's lost her mum, and she goes searching. There's a little underwater adventure, and it's really a story about camouflage.
Well, we can't have that little fish losing his mom. That's a very sad story. But I mean, this sounds, many people, designers will say, well, this is nice and dandy, but, what about larger clients? Now, I know you created pop-ups for large companies like Nespresso, for example.
Sure, this was a wonderful commercial project. I think one of the great ways of using pop-ups is to tell a story, and this is what we did here. We told a story of how they make coffee in Nespresso, and this is the story of the coffee from the bean to the cup. And that there is the final spread showing the coffee machine and all the coffee varieties. Now,
all that is missing is basically the smell of fresh coffee, right?
Absolutely. They should have had a scratch and sniff, shouldn't they?
That's the next level up. And then you worked for Red Bull Air Race in New York?
This was a program that they did. They handed this to as a media pack, and it's promoted the Red Bull Air Race in New York. And that you can see there, it shows it was a multi-layered New York skyline with the Red Bull plane. It's actually on a piece of acetate, so it gives the impression of it flying through the pylons there. I don't think I'm wrong.
That's okay.
I will.
Now, what I like about this one is basically it's a book to promote a children's animated TV show. And I love how TV and books and digital and books work together. So can you tell us a little bit about this one?
This one, the style of the animation was actually in a sort of pop-up style. They had pull tabs and paper folding sounds and stuff within it. So it made sense to promote it with a genuine book. In fact, this is holding a script. This is what they used to actually promote the whole idea to people. And it was actually a script holder, but they presented it as a pop-up book. And it went well, I think.
Well, that's clever. Very clever. And then this one is an invitation for Cadbury chocolate. I mean, who doesn't like chocolate? But
indeed. And this one goes out, this one we sent out these in those twinkly, shiny envelopes, and it has that, pop-up scene of the penguins, and down underneath a little secret compartment in which, of course, was chocolate.
What else would there be? And then this one, I like this one because it's season's greetings, but it's for, for those of you who've been to London, it's Harrods. Who doesn't like Harrods?
Yeah.
And I love the theme, which is The Great Gatsby.
Yeah, they were using the theme of The Great Gatsby that year, and they wanted this card to represent that or join in. So when you get this one, the doors are closed and join in the middle, and you pull the two arrows apart, and it opens to reveal the pop-up scene within.
I love this one. Now, there's a fascination about pop-ups. There's no doubt about it. But can you explain to us a little bit more why we find pop-ups so fascinating? What captivates us? And maybe you can explain to us why and how we could capitalize. We as designers can capitalize on the pop-up trend right now.
Sure. I think there is a fascination. I'd call it papercraft to cover all of those. And you do see it everywhere. You see it in stationery and stationery shops or greeting cards. It's quoted on adverts on TV and in the media. I certainly see it on Facebook and in magazines and so on. And I think, this all started with children's pop-up books. Everyone loves a pop-up book. They are somewhere between a toy and a book. They give both the parent and the child an immersive experience. And I think they're popular because they take you back to that, remembering that first book, to a special time of discovering the world. And there's something enchanting about them. The sound of the creaking cardboard as you open the page, and the surprise discovery of an intricate scene which involves you. This one here is a good example. The scene unfolds when you come to this page, and you can raise the curtain. It's up there at the back. So you can raise that, you pull a tab to make her dance, and you can change the scenery in the back.
And I think you have a special
sound
something for us here, right?
Can you hear that? So that's the sound that you get from the side of the book right there to make her dance to. And so you have this, you're presented with a little world as you are with Charlie's Factory or many books, and that is what makes pop-ups so appealing. And when used as a marketing tool, they're so effective. If you think about it, it's very difficult, especially if something has a wow factor, to throw those items away. They won't end up in the bin. It's far more likely that you'll show them to other people, that they'll be left on desk or photographed and shared on social media.
Yeah, we had I featured in one of our weekly videos, I featured a pop-up, and it reminds me of this one, a pop-up business card that when you open it, there was a sofa unfolding complete with throw pillows. And people were just going wild about it. It's the whole experience about this. Now, Ian, it says on your business card, which is a gorgeous one, by the way, that you're a paper engineer. Now, I have to ask, what the heck is a paper engineer?
Paper engineer, hard to define. There's lots of different paper engineers, but in the world of pop-ups, I would say it's someone who designs mechanisms to produce structures that give the most appropriate 3D form and in a novel, movable action. These are usually powered, like this card is, by the opening of the page, but it can be pull tabs or flaps or dials. And in order to answer the question of what a paper engineer, I'm going to sort of describe how I do it, I spend a lot of my time making paper mock-ups. I cut and stick paper together until I have a rough structure, and then I'll flatten it or unfold it and make a vector version of it. Here's one. This is the vector file that shows the cutting form for the skull in the Alive book for Dawn and Kindersley that was in the film earlier. And to get it to that version, it took a lot of tweaks and changes just to get it up to that level. And so I would say a paper engineer needs to know all of this, the knowledge of paper mechanisms and how they are produced. It's important to have a knowledge of the different types of paperboard available. Some are better than others. And perhaps now's a good time to mention Igesund, because they make particularly good paper for pop-ups. Their paper doesn't crack when you fold and open and close it, and it's nice and stiff. It holds its form. It's perfect for pop-ups.
No, we like that. Ian, how did you become a paper engineer? I mean, I know you started out as a designer, so is there a course, what do you need to learn? Is there a course in design school and art college that says this is how you become a paper engineer?
I don't think there is. I don't think there is a college course specifically for paper engineering pop-up books, and perhaps it's a good thing, keeps me in business. As far as I know, all paper engineers are self-taught. For me, my story is I've always had an interest in paper folding, in origami, in mathematical curiosities and distractions, and I went through the route of going through art college. I did graphic design. And then when I started a graphic design company, and I wanted to promote that. So I made these little pop-ups. They were elastic band-powered pyramids. And we found that they were much more popular than the message that I was trying to promote. Forget the graphics, it was more about pop-ups. And so I began to specialize in those and using them for promotional material. Then, after doing that for a while, I created a pop-up house, which was pivotal. This was a three-dimensional house with little windows you could see inside, and in there was a little scene, a whodunit, where Sherlock Holmes had his violin stolen, and on the bottom of the house was some characters. You had to work out who did it. And then I thought, and the idea was it was for an insurance company. I thought that might be cute. But then I thought it'd make a great centerpiece for a book, and so my first book was created, The Mystery of the Russian Ruby, which is that. It is a whodunit in a book. You might know Cluedo or Clue in the States, I think you call it, and that is what this is. This is different suspects come together. Someone steals the ruby, and you have to find out, guess who did it. So when that
we all know this. It's like Aunt Chelsea in the living room with a sword,
with
right?
The lead piping. Absolutely.
That one.
That's the one, yes. And so I sort of arrived as a paper engineer, and I worked for many publishers, and I went to the States and got to know Intervisual and White Heat, and I met other paper engineers, usually at book fairs. I'll name some. James Diaz was brilliant, David Pelham, Robert Sabuda, David Carter, Matthew Reinhardt, and Ron Vandermeer. What a list. And then it all adds to my knowledge. I'm beginning to become, I think, part of the world of paper engineers. I went to China and Thailand and learned how they produce all these things. And finally now I can happily say I can do the whole process. PaperSpecs does this for publishers and companies, all the time now. So that's how I became a paper engineer.
Okay, so no easy college course there, guys. So now you know.
No.
But I mean, I can only imagine, especially when I look at things like your business cards, there must be a lot of detail to create these complicated pop-ups. How do you exactly go about this? Can you give us a little bit of a step-by-step? How would you,
Sure. It is complicated. I find I have to wear many hats. It's not just sitting down and folding paper. There's loads of different disciplines, and I've broken it up here into, let's start with that. I'm going to show Charlie and the Chocolate Factory and the various stages it went through roughly. I think this can be applicable to corporate promotion pop-ups too, but first we start, so it's going to be in 10 stages, okay? First is the brief. We'll get the brief from a conversation, from an email or in person. And with that, I'll create sketches. I usually do this in PDF form so we can send them to and fro them with the emails. And now we start talking about costing. I have to keep an eye on glue points so that we don't get too expensive. And when we've kind of gone through that and we all agree, I will head towards the first working prototype where we start to do the 3D stuff. We get the paper down into, looking like the book as it will be. And I've cut out that rough structure, and then I will begin to do the vectors, which I mentioned earlier. The vectors, I do these in Illustrator, and the solid lines are the cut lines, and the dotted lines are the creases. And that is starting now to come towards being ready for production. Next, I guess halfway through here, is the artwork, where everything comes together. We have the illustrations, we have the text, the designer will be involved, the editors, of course, have done their stuff. And this is done in an InDesign document, basically with 3 layers, the vectors on the top, the text next, and that so it can be, changed for different editions, different languages, and then underneath that, all of the illustrations. And that will be used to create the color mock-up, which is a bit more sophisticated than the first one. Now we've got everything in there, and everyone has an opinion on it. People have to sign it off. When that's all done, it's on with the printing. First there's the repro. We used to have a whole bunch of things to do for repro, but thankfully nowadays we can really just do that in PDF form, a high-res PDF, and it's off to print. Printing of pop-up books is mostly done in the Far East, and they will lay out the print in huge nesting sheets where the pages are gathered together and all the pop-up parts are put together, and it looks like a huge dressmaker's pattern. It's all printed, and then it goes to die cutting, where these huge forms which are made from wood with metal blades, and they press down on the paper as it fires through, and so you have all of the parts. Now they are ready for assembly, and assembly is really where it starts to become a pop-up book, I think. All the parts are stripped out and put into neat piles on long tables, and the page will work its way down those long tables. This table will be spread 1, the one next to it will be spread 2. All the parts get attached as it goes up there, and you can physically see the book growing as you walk across. At the top of the table, all the pages come together, and further along the line, they'll go into the covers. And the covers, of course, have been done with die cutting or other effects, gold foil or embossing and so on. And then that's all put together. The book block goes into the cover, and you have it ready. Finally, you have shipping. I put shipping in because it represents how there's so many other things to do than paper folding. You have to know your shipping terms. You have to do safety testing. You have to know insurance. You have to know your way around customs and exit. That's, I think, roughly how you do it. It's a bit speedy, but there we go. Easy.
No, I think it's important for us to know what goes into this. Now, can you give us an idea, the average timeline? How long does it take? This is not something that you do on a whim in 24 hours. So we're talking weeks, right? Months.
Months. When we did Charlie and the Chocolate Factory took 2 years. That's because they wanted to, the publishers rightly wanted to make sure it had the opportunity of gathering a large print run, and it went to book fairs, and there was a lot of people involved. Normally, I'd say a book is done in a year, but it depends. You've got book fairs to hit. It depends what the schedule is for that title.
Mm-hmm. Now, we love the pop-ups you've made, and maybe you can show us a few more. We're always suckers for a good show and tell. By the way, for those of you live on the call, we have a little special surprise where you can make your own pop-up. So stay tuned. I'll tell you more about this later. But for now, can you give us a little bit more show and tell? I'd love to see some of your examples.
Sure. Have a look at this. Now, this was for an event, one single event. We did all of these items. I've just gathered them together there. But I know I use this little. Where's it gone?
Got it? Did you find it?
Here it is.
There
this is the invitation. You open this up and this thing unfolds. for an event. Then over here we have the place names. We have little pop-up maps that show you around. We have a wallet-style menu. The pop-up book that I showed in the movie. This is a lantern which went on the table. And then this is the table setting, so you'd find out where you sat. There's calligraphy in there. And then down here we have a chocolate box with chocolates within, and a little pop-up card with a laser cut scene there saying thanks for coming, and that would be on your pillow when you finished at the end of the day.
So that looks like a little drawer. Is it a drawer?
Yeah, and you pull that ribbon and it comes out and there's 2 chocolates right there. And they were really cute. I mean, it's fantastic. What an effort. And, this shows really how you can apply pop-ups to so many things and makes a great event. Let's see. We've got a few other things here. We've got some other books. Let's look at this one. This was a fabulous thing, championed by Robert Sabuda, and it was created for the Brooklyn Public Library. Each spread had a different paper engineer. I was really pleased to get the bridge. As you can see, I used acetate there for the chains, acetate pieces. But every page had a different engineer. I was very happy to be part of it. Let's have a look at this one. This is a pop-up cookery book, which we did for the Istanbul Culinary Institute. And here you have the index cards. These are the basic recipes, and these are the seasonal recipes and whatnot. And then the food sort of is represented as it folds out towards you in photographic pop-up form.
And no calories there whatsoever. It's fabulous.
Hardly any. Here's the Christmas card I showed in the movie. And what I liked about this, it was a great collection of effects. We've got silver foil message here, which is Happy New Year in many languages. We've got spot UV snowflakes. Obviously the laser cut trees, which is telling the story of how they make paper from these trees. We've got the laser cut city there, and then the holographic foil effect on the back, which is to represent the northern lights around, Sweden there. Here's another title. This is Harry and the Dinosaurs. Harry and the Pop-Up Dinosaurs is about a little boy who goes about with a collection of toy dinosaurs. So for this one, we wanted to put all of that into the cover and first spread. So we have they're peeking through there on the front cover, and then when you open it, they all come tumbling out. Again, done for a penguin books, or puffing part penguin. So those are the kind of show and tell I've gathered for today.
Now, last year you created this water lily for Igesund and to show at their stand at the LuxPack show in Monaco. I was invited, but for whatever reason I couldn't make it to Monaco. Anyway, I think they were so popular that during the first few hours of the show, 3 of them disappeared already. Just magically disappeared, might I say.
I was happy about that. I was delighted that they were well received. What we did with these is visitors were invited to the stand, and we made these up with the visitors. They made their own lily, and then they would carry it off proudly. And it did seem to go down well. They were well received. And I could talk about this one. It had an odd beginning. This one had a strange brief. Normally, when I get the brief, I'm asked to just to create something. Well, in this case, I had to create something that had originally been conceived in CGI. Igesund had an animation created by Andreas Ostlund at Nagu 3D Studios that showed amazing paper structures with paper, pine cones dropping to the forest floor, and of course water lilies floating on a lake.
Well, let's take a quick look at the video, shall we? Hold on.
Okay, yeah.
Hold on. There we go. looks like a magical wonderland. As a special, and I promised you guys, because you're here today live, something super special. And Igesund is actually making available these water lilies. Well, you have to still assemble them. It's like IKEA. You have to, a little assembly is required. So if you're interested in receiving your own water lily kit, please go to paperspecs.com/sample request with sample dash request and put in your information, and we're happy to send one out to you. Now we want to find out a little bit more about the actual water lily. So Ian, can you tell us more about this, how this came about? I mean, we know now, and I find this amazing because I can't believe this is animation because it really looks like real paper in the video. So
well, it took me a while to create that, I must admit. I tried at first to make the pine cone, and as a matter of fact, I failed. I did it over and over and over and failed, and I was tearing my hair out. And so I thought I'll put that to one side and just try the water lily. And finally, there it is. I did the water lily in a day. I did all of that in one day. Not the stamen, but I had to do that the following morning. And I was so pleased that somehow my brain had been working on it whilst I was failing on the pine cone. And then after I'd finished this one, I went back and did the pine cone, and that one fell into place as well. So I think that's about inspiration and how we work sometimes unconsciously. This water lily is made... This one's made from 8 sheets, the die-cut and creased. Some are A4 and some are A3, and you have to carefully fold them and assemble them using the world of origami. They have valley folds and mountain folds. You pre-fold it, and then you have to attach each one piece to the next. It takes a while, but you could perhaps show us how that's done.
So just for the fun of it, we had Ian assemble one, and I'm not going to tell you how long this is going to take, but Ian actually can do this, and you will be very impressed in under a minute. Here it goes. Now, aren't you impressed, guys? I am super impressed that he can do this.
My fingers have worn out.
Ample paper cuts, I'm sure.
Yeah.
So let me share this again. If you're interested in getting your own version of the water lily, here is the link, and we're going to post it in the chat area as well. But anyway, obviously,
what you have there when you get that is in fact a floating water lily lantern, because what we've done is we've printed it on plastic coated Invercoat G, and it means that it will float on water. Furthermore, if you get yourself a battery powered tea light, you can put it in, and it will be a floating lantern.
Speaking of which, so hang on, you created a lantern. So beyond the magic lily, we can get a lantern as well? Is that what you're telling us?
That's what it is. It is a floating water lily lantern.
So
it floats in water.
Hang on a second here. So speaking of floating water.
There you go.
Sorry, I nearly missed my cue. Guys, it seems like some of you have trouble with the sample request link. Veronica's looking into this. Give us a second.
Yeah, that shows it floating in water.
Wow, look at this. So was it easier to create this because you had the 3D animation, or was it harder?
Like I say, it was hard to do this one. Hard and then easy. I suppose it was strange coming from the animation, but I was happy to finally crack it, that's for sure. And the pine cone was, sweet in its own way as well. But I think it's a nice three-dimensional structure. I think it came together. It's not really a pop-up, this one. It's a papercraft item, but popular all the more for it.
I think it's fabulous. I mean, so just to let you guys know, not to worry about this. You don't have to do it. Well, here's the thing: if you can do it in under a minute, we're going to have a special price. We're going to come up with something, but we doubt this very highly. It usually takes how long to assemble? Like half an hour?
Yeah, it does. Half an hour.
Ouch. So this is something for a rainy evening, guys, and a glass of wine. For those of you who sign up for the sample request form, give it a second. There's so many people. Hold on. There's so many people. You're blocking our server.
Excellent.
Give us a sec. Which is excellent, obviously. Yes, fabulous. Hold on. Where was I? Oh, so what we will do is we have a video of Ian actually assembling this with step-by-step instructions, so where he's walking you through, and we will upload this to our website as well, just to make sure you can assemble your water lily properly, and then you can float it on water like we do here. Now, if you're volunteering to assemble one for me and my team as well, it would be like 10 of us. Feel free. We'd love that.
It would be good to see photos of them when they're done, They should be sent in. I'd like to see that, see what if they're all done properly.
Properly. Did you hear that, guys? Properly.
Correctly. In an awesome fashion.
All right. So let's get to some of your questions. Oops. There we go. Because there were a few of them.
Somebody was asking about what was the paperboard I mentioned. I can do that whilst you're looking for other questions. The paperboard that we used for a few of the pop-ups we've done with Ignifind is Invercote G. Invercote G is two-sided, and it's good if you need that other side printing, but all Invercote is fantastic for folding and making pop-ups. It depends what weight you would use. I would use something like a 240 or 220 gram, but Invercote is the answer to that. That's what I think.
Great. Now, the other question we get is, what is included in safety testing? You mentioned this as part of the process. What is included in that?
Yeah, safety testing, well, I don't know all of the ways safety testing, but they do things like they break the book up. They will tear off the cover. If it's got varnish on it, they will tear off the piece and put it through apertures to see that it doesn't break into large pieces and present a choke hazard. And if you had electronic parts and so on, or different elements within it, they all have to pass tests. It's a hassle. It's a great thing that it's done. It's a real responsibility when you're left carrying that. Basically, you send it to be safety tested by these specialists, and they will go through that process and advise you. It's just one more process you have to go through. I don't really know that world. I wish I could answer that better, but
this is more like
one
for
more
books.
section. Yeah.
It's more for books. It's not for like if you do a promotional card, that wouldn't be the case, right?
No, it wouldn't. Especially most promotional cards aren't really for children. This is if we had to do safety testing on a book called Chick, because Chick was aimed at a 3-year-old or under, and you know what you like when you're there. If you like a good book when you're 3, you eat it. So we have to be sure.
There's so much good fiber in paper.
Never give a pop-up book to a youngster. Anyway, that's what it's for, and it's the right approach.
Great. And then Jeff mentions that he had a professor, so there is not a paper engineer course, but he had a paper folding course. that took 12 weeks, that gave him, that inspired the love of paper and packaging. Wonderful.
Yeah.
All right, see?
Maybe one
Yep.
day I'll start a course and teach this.
I think that would be a fabulous idea.
Yeah.
But beware of paper cuts, guys. Beware. Let me just, our tech guy is working on the website. I think we caused a major spike. Sorry about that. So if you cannot sign on for the special Water Lily promotion, just send us an email to info@paperspecs.com and subject line Water Lily or just Lily, and make sure you give us your mailing address and contact information. Sorry about this. I guess that just crashed our little server here. Who knew?
I can tell you about a product that is in development, Sabine.
Yeah.
We are developing this light to be this water lily to be available as a light, not as a kit, as a light. It's a larger product, and it's already 3D. It's already made, and you plug it in with a USB, and that will be on PaperSmith's website, hopefully in the next few weeks. So you can. So
basically, just in time for Christmas. Is that what you're saying?
That's what I'm hoping for. Yeah, absolutely.
So it comes already assembled. That means no paper cuts, no half-hour assembly for
Nothing. No, exactly.
And is it battery-powered or is it electric? I need to know because can I float it on water?
You can't float not the light. You can float the lantern on water, but not the light.
Okay.
The light is a plug-in item. Yeah. Absolutely.
So have you worked with, I'm sorry, Michelle wants to know if you worked with synthetic papers as well. I guess the idea of the water lily and floating on water.
Being plastic coated, yeah. I would like to. This isn't something I can easily admit to because as we've established, I'm a paper engineer. But I love the idea that Tyvek paper is untearable. Now you really could create a book that you can give to a very young child because you can't rip the stuff. It's really durable. But it's against my religion. It's not my world. I have a fascination and a sort of respect. I like stuff I love paper. I love the fact that it can be recycled when it's all finished with. But I do admit there's something to be learned from plastic paper.
Right. And yeah, I can, you have a religion. I like that. And you're very, which reminds me, you and I talked about this before, because now holiday season is upon us, and this is basically the time when everybody and their grandmother jumps up and says, by the way, Christmas is upon us, and let's call Ian and let him create a Christmas card for us. So how about that, Ian?
Well, we have a lot of that going through the studio at the moment. To be honest, there's just time. I'm not after new work here because I've got enough on my board. But there's just time for us here to still pull a Christmas card out, is what we're up to. And it's a busy time and a lot of client management. And on top of that, I have yet to do the PaperSmith Christmas card. That's being put on the back burner. Anyway.
It's the old the shoemaker's kids run bare feet thing?
Yeah. Yes. I'll send you one.
No, that's perfectly fine. So what we're saying is... Pardon?
It'll have a cut it out yourself sort of approach.
Do-it-yourself pop-up book. I love it. Yeah, I love it. Hang on. So basically what Ian is saying is if you want him to consult on anything or create something for you, don't contact him before January. He and his little elves, as I like to call them, are kept mighty busy. Yeah. Anyway, Bruce is sending you a message, Ian.
I know. I was going to say hi, Bruce. I can see that. Bruce Foster is a great tape engineer, and he was certainly involved in one of these books here, the Brooklyn Pops Up book.
Oh, so he was one of the designers who worked on one of the other pop-ups there? How great.
Yes.
Well, hi, Bruce.
Hi, Bruce, yes.
Now, you mentioned earlier that the pop-up books, especially because they're created overseas and so on, take the Charlie and the Chocolate Factory took about 2 years to create. But what about cards? I mean, if you're still working on Christmas cards, for example, the timeline can't be quite as extensive. Is that right?
No, for sure. It's not so extensive. It's the same process as we went through with those 10 steps. but much shorter, because these Christmas cards I've got around me in the studio now, there's a 200 run here, there's this one's 1,500, this one's 3,000. But they're almost ready. We've got the artwork done, we've got the pop-ups done, and it's just a matter of going to print, and that always difficult part, the assembly, which we're doing that here in Bristol and in the UK. And it takes so much work, so much management. You will find on day one, if you come into the assembly rooms, I'll show a new assembler. Look, we want to fold this piece of paper like this and not like that. And the difference between the two is something like 0.5 millimeter on a fold. And they're like, are you serious? But after a day, they get it. They understand. If you fold it just out a little bit, suddenly the card can just go wonky. It can not perform as it should do. So they soon tune in, and they have deft fingers, and they're usually quicker than me after a couple of days, which I don't really like, but there we go. The world of assembly.
Yeah, I can totally see this happening, because I mean, you're probably even worse than just going out for dinner with me or any other designer. We scrutinize the paper the menu is printed on, the typography, the lettering, everything.
Yeah.
And so for somebody from the outside world, it's like, really, but I can totally see that the intricacy of these pop-ups.
It's a bit niche. It's a bit narrow, but yeah, that's my world.
It is, and you're doing a great job. Now, someone who wants to get started on pop-ups, is there something where you can say, listen, I wish somebody would have told me this from the beginning? Yes, definitely.
I would say not just pop-ups, but in packaging, collect stuff. Collect good pop-up books. Not just any old, really good ones that you admire for a good reason. And it might be editorial, it might be because of the way it constructs, the way it actually pops up. And collect nice boxes. I have Twinings tea in my house, and I love the boxes. I love the way they click when you close them. So, I have an admiration for that, and I collect them. We all love those Apple boxes when you buy your new phone and they have that whoosh of air when you open them. I think collect stuff is the answer. And then, start copying it. Make your own whooshing box or pop-up or a box for tea that clicks when it's closed. And you'll begin to learn those little tricks that you use, those little mechanisms. And you can start to build a repertoire. And ultimately, you will be able to vary those and make them your own.
So basically what you're saying is, do not start with Christmas cards for clients, but make, for this year, for example, make tea boxes for Ian and Sabine and send them to them, right? Because we like to collect them.
Yes.
So work on your own project is basically... I'm sorry, go ahead.
I think that's always been the way to gather a collection and dissect, take it apart, learn it, make your own. And sort of shadowing the great work that's available and learning it that way. That's certainly how I did it.
So for smaller, okay, hang on, I'm going through all the questions here. I had one of my own. Hold on a second. Oh, collectors. So I lost my train of thought there for a second. So basically you're giving us permission, an official tax write-off permission, basically, to collect as much as we can. And it's a tax write-off because it's all business, right?
It was what?
It's a tax write-off. It's a business expense.
It is a tax write-off, absolutely. It is.
Julie wants to know, for smaller production runs, would a cutting plotter be recommended or a laser printer, because it could create creases as well?
Right. I love laser cut. We all love those intricate detail you can get from a laser cut. I have difficulty in the way a laser cutter gives you a crease. You can either half cut through the sheet, or you can create a crease using perforations. But either way, I find that can weaken the fold. And when you have a pop-up which has some stress because it's been made to pop up or carry something, I find they can come apart like a zip. You have this gorgeous thing, it's popping up and then suddenly, and it's starting to go, and you're done for. So when we do a good laser cut like that, let me go to it. That card we did earlier, we were looking at earlier, if I can click us to there. That we laser cut, but we also put through a die cutting process just for the creases. So even though it wasn't actually die cut, it had the creases put on. I don't really like creases which are perfed. So I would say you have to, it's horses for courses there. I would use a laser cutter when appropriate. If the model that you're making can survive with that slightly weakened hinge, then that's fine. I forget what the alternative was. What was the other one she mentioned?
Laser printer or, cutting plotter.
Cutting plotter. Oh, well, if that's a cutting plotter with a blade, again, I'd question how the creases are done. If it's done with a blade, then that might give you the same difficulty. If it's done by creasing, then you'd be okay. But just keep an eye on the creases there. That would be the area to keep your eye on, you know.
Great. Jenny wants to know if you can recommend any resources for learning about pop-ups. Are there any that come to mind where you say, listen, definitely check out here or there?
Yes, there is. I'm looking at my bookshelf for this one. There's a great book by Jim Diaz and David Carter called How to Make a Pop-Up. I can't see it. And if I knew the title, I'd read it out. But I'd look on Google or Amazon for books
Jeff
about
recommended that.
How to make. Yes, and I'll try and find it whilst we're talking.
Okay, so Jeff recommended it as well. He says there's a lot of pop-up books on Amazon, so feel free to search there. Michelle was wondering, package design classes, are they really helpful? Do you think that's one way in?
Yeah, for sure. Why not? Again, you're going to learn so much. I would say so. I don't really know enough about that to comment, but it's going to give you that exposure to it, and it would depend on the person teaching you and what they do, but that's a good way in, yes.
Okay. Is there a way to find templates or patterns for some of these die cuts that either you've been showing, or do you know of a place that has these that would make life easier for people, for designers on the call to get started?
I know that Robert Sabuda has published quite a few of his cutting forms, which you can use to make cards, pop-up cards like.
What was his last name? Robert
Sabuda.
Okay.
And again, I'm curtsying. And somebody has put up there Elements of Pop-Up by James Diaz and David Carter. That's the book I was looking for. Thank you, Jane.
Thanks, Jane. Jane put up the comment. So you can sit back down, Ian. We found the book.
Thank you.
I love it when people find things faster than we do. So there you have it. You probably have a whole collection of books and pop-ups and boxes.
I do, and some of them are lying sideways. That's the trouble. So I can't see the spine, and it's sloppy behavior. I should have. Anyway, my fault. She saved the day.
All right. And something else I wanted. So when you hand assemble the cards. How many cards do you have in production at the moment? You said that you're making Christmas cards for various clients, and then they're all in various stages of production.
Yeah,
so is there a limit of what you can do?
Well, there is. Right now we have a very good prospect of a job which has 22,000 pop-ups, which will challenge us, but that's not needed till next year. But that is on the table. The other ones, I suppose they all add up to a few thousand, nothing too crazy. When you go into the world of pop-up books, then you're into, if you can do it, 100,000 would be a brilliant book, run for a book. It's when things start to work financially that you can then spread the cost of all of the design, all of that hard work. If it's spread out over a long run, it all becomes more worthwhile for everyone.
100,000 pop-up books.
Yeah, why not?
Okay. That's fine. So Patrick suggested you should definitely host a class. There's no question about that.
I would love to. I'm sure I could. I'm sure I will, actually. I'd love to do that.
We're all coming out to England, and you can host a class.
Or maybe I'll come out to the States. Maybe I'll come out to California.
Works for us. We're doing a pop-up class up here. We do a whole day pop-up class. Yeah, but there we go. Linda says she's coming. We already have the first sign-up, Ian, so you better don't make any promises.
Good.
And we have, okay, so we now have already 2 people. People are signing up for the class that you're not even holding yet, so beware. We need you to come out.
Who's Patrick? Get off of my patch. He's saying I'm a British designer. Oh, sorry, he wants to come. That's fine. Okay.
He wants to come. He wants to learn how to make this.
I thought he wanted to host it. Sorry.
Excellent. So do you do something like so I think this is a very interesting question. Do you offer something like an internship, or when people come in and say, I really want to learn this? Like, I mean, you went to China and Thailand, you mentioned, to learn, and you worked with other pop-up artists, so to speak. So do you offer that as well?
We often have different people coming through the studio and learning it and working with. We've had great people over the years. Occasionally I will need people in working close, but so I don't know, maybe I should have more people in the studio, but right now I don't have any interns going on. It's working fine, but with the people we have,
Anyway, I can tell you, I'm proud to tell you, and I think you guys are on the webinar. You're fabulous. So Elise is holding a bake sale to sponsor your flight out here. Okay. It's hilarious. Anyway, so and we have several sign-ups for the pop-up class already, Ian. We really have to talk about this. There is no way around this now. We brought this up on ourselves, I guess. But I love the idea to have a bake sale for that. How much fun. All right, so I hope you will send us some more pop-up examples as they become available, and that we can show them off in our gallery. That would be fabulous.
Surely.
I will bug you like every other week now, because I know you should finish them as we go, right? All the Christmas cards would.
They will.
All right. You heard it here, guys. He's going to send us samples. Now, again, if you want to get your own water lily to assemble, go to paperspecs.com/sample-request. Or if, for whatever reason, there's too many people signing up at the same time, send us an email to info@paperspecs.com. Sorry about this, guys. I guess there's more of you signing up than we expected. We should have alerted our tech guy to that. But I love it. I'd rather have this problem than the other way around, as they say.
I'm happy.
Anyways.
I'm happy to have made a mess.
Ian, and might I share with you guys, not to be repeated, Ian is just he's ready to go to the pub now. It's 8 o'clock. It's pub time, right? Anyway, I love your comments, guys. We have several people, so many more people have signed up for your class already. We really got to start working on this. But thanks so much for sharing this hour with us, Ian, and sharing your insights and information. I really very much appreciate that.
Yes.
And I also want to thank Igesund Paperboard again for making this event possible and for providing us with their fabulous InvoCode line that is perfect for pop-ups, water lilies, and just so much more. Thank you guys for being here. We'll leave the chat box open for a little bit in case you have some more questions or comments. We'd love to hear from you. And thanks for being here, and have a fabulous rest of the day.
Thank you. Bye.